war zones, volcanic islands filled with toxic gases, and indigenous people who will kill you the moment you step foot on a beach. They're not exactly perfect selfie spots for your Instagram feed. These are 50 places no one is allowed to travel to, even if you tried. Starting us off with number 50. North Sentinel Island. There's an island in the Indian Ocean that's much more exotic than Tahiti, because no one is allowed there. This is North Sentinel Island. Get within a 3-mile or 5-kilometer radius, and the Indian authorities will prosecute you. If you do get on the island, the uncontacted indigenous people there will kill you if they can. An American missionary, John Chow, tried to go there in 2018, and it was the last trip he ever took. Number 49. Nicobar Islands. A quick boat journey south of North Sentinel will bring you to India's Nicobar Islands. Aside from a few select places, these islands are forbidden too, for the same reason. The Indian government wants to protect the fragile environment and indigenous inhabitants. If you don't have a special pass, you're not getting in without consequences. Number 48. Vale do Javari. Located along the Amazon, Vale do Javari in western Brazil is huge, almost the size of Maine. And it's completely sealed off, dedicated to protecting the indigenous people that live there. You will be prosecuted if you go, and the local tribes are known to shoot poison-tipped arrows at intruders. If you ask me, that's not worth the chance. Number 47. Yanomami Indigenous Territory. Brazil has another closed-off area, the Yanomami Indigenous Territory in Amazonas, covering almost 24.7 million acres, or about 10 million hectares. 30,000 Yanomami people live here, and the territory overlaps with Venezuela, where some of them remain completely uncontacted. Illegal miners have come here in recent years looking for gold and other valuables, and Brazil responded with armed force. The miners introduced diseases and brought environmental disruption that have proven unkind to the locals. The Brazilian government will prosecute you if it thinks you're doing the same thing. Number 46. Chiribiquete National Park. Relatively close by is Colombia's Chiribiquete National Park. It's been protected since 1989 and is now the world's largest tropical rainforest park. Aside from its picturesque natural wonders, aerial surveillance revealed as many as 3 uncontacted indigenous tribes. But don't try to be the one to talk to them. In fact, don't go to the park at all without special permission. Only flyovers are permitted for the general public. Number 45. Snake Island. Snake Island, located off the coast of southern Brazil, is patrolled by the Brazilian Navy to keep people out. Why? Well, that's because it's densely populated by endangered golden lancehead snakes that happen to be highly venomous. Locals say there's 1 snake for every square meter or 10 square feet on the island. That means every step you take risks a poison bite. Number 44. Bouvet Island. Lying 1,100 miles or 1,700 kilometers off the coast of Antarctica, Bouvet Island is the most remote in the world, and it's controlled by Norway, of all countries. You can't travel there because it's designated as a nature preserve. Even if you could, there's no safe place for you to land, much less an airport. Number 43. Surtsey. There's another island on the opposite side of the Atlantic if you're still willing to put up with the cold. It's Surtsey Island off southern Iceland, and it's new. It surfaced during an eruption between 1963 and 1967. It's less than a square mile, 2.5 square kilometers in size, and strictly reserved for geological research. You can only see it from the sky or on a distant boat. Number 42. Svalbard Global Seed Vault. Tucked away in the icy wilderness of the Svalbard archipelago lies the Global Seed Vault, a doomsday bunker holding over 1.3 million seed samples. It's humanity's backup plan if the world goes full apocalypse. But don't get any ideas about raiding it for rare kale. Even if you make it past the snow and ice, there are armed guards keeping watch. Number 41. Iriomote Ishigaki National Park. Japan has plenty of warm and visitor-friendly islands, but the ones that make up Iriomote Ishigaki National Park, 745 miles or 1,200 kilometers south of Kagoshima, aren't among them. This place is home to the critically endangered Iriomote cat, and it's closed to protect its fragile ecosystem. Number 40. Albatross Island. Australia is always a nice place to visit, but there are some peculiar places. One of them is Albatross Island, a 44-acre, 18-hectare sanctuary for 10,000 pairs of shy albatross that lies between northwest Tasmania and King Island. There are also seals, penguins, and skinks. It sounds like a nice place for some pictures, but that's exactly why the island is off limits. It's all to protect that ecosystem. Number 39. Heard Island. There's another wildlife sanctuary in Australia, Heard Island in the Southern Ocean, another one of the most remote places in the world. It's only inhabited by penguins that, well, as of 2025, are subject to a 10% tariff to the US government. Its distance from civilization and its harsh weather make it a hard place to get to, and only limited fishing nearby is allowed. Number 38. McDonald Islands. Similar to Heard Island are Australia's McDonald Islands. They're too remote to be safe, volcanic activity can make them dangerous, and they're a dedicated marine reserve. They're listed as an IUCN Category 1 area, which means all visitors are banned except for select scientific researchers, which probably isn't you. Number 37. Antipodes Islands. If remote islands at the end of the world are your thing, then you will like the Antipodes Islands. Just 530 miles or 850 kilometers southeast of Stewart Island. But if you can get down there, you'd be in legal jeopardy, since the islands are designated nature reserves. The government of New Zealand is judicious in granting permits for scientific research. There have been shipwrecks, though. Number 36. Chañaral Island. Chañaral Island is 4 miles, 6.5 kilometers off the coast of northern Chile, and it's the world's largest colony of Humboldt penguins. That's also why it's forbidden to tourists. Turns out that travelers disrupted the penguins' breeding patterns and introduced pathogens. Chilean law enforcement conducts regular patrols to keep boats away, so even if you got through once, you'd still need to dodge them again to get back safely. Number 35. Farallon Islands. 30 miles, 48 kilometers off the coast of California near San Francisco are the Farallon Islands. This place is a national wildlife refuge, hosting seabirds like the tufted puffin and black-footed albatross. And there are dolphins, sea lions, whales, and great white sharks. No boats land on the islands, so if you're willing to brave swimming with the sharks, just know that a steep, rocky shoreline will be waiting for you, along with all the legal penalties of violating a national wildlife refuge. Number 34. Navassa Island. The United States has declared another island as a wildlife refuge, though one wonders if this decision was more political than scientific. This is Navassa Island, 40 miles, 64 kilometers south of Haiti, which claims it as its territory. Haiti's claim supposedly dates back to the 1697 Treaty of Ryswick. Oddly enough, the United States also claims the island as its own as part of the 1856 Guano Islands Act, which allowed American citizens to take ownership of uninhabited islands for development under the American flag. No one is there today, but the US government declared the island and its waters as Navassa National Wildlife Refuge. Only scientific visitors with special permissions are allowed on it. Number 33. Niihau. Hawaii is known for its pleasant weather and social media bragging rights, but don't go to the westernmost main island. Niihau, privately owned by the Robinson family since 1864, is dedicated to preserving the native Hawaiian culture of its residents. Only their relatives and members of the US military doing their official duties are allowed to access the island freely. You can fly over it for $440 and visit designated beaches if you're willing to pay even more. But that's all. Don't think of interacting with any of the people. Trespassers will be prosecuted. Number 32. North Brother Island. North Brother Island is situated in New York's East River, between the Bronx and the infamous Rikers. It used to be inhabited, but was turned into a tuberculosis sanitarium. Then it became a rehab center for teenage drug addicts before closing in 1964. It's been left to the birds ever since. The buildings are in extreme disrepair, and New York City's Parks Department won't let anyone in except 4 scientific researchers per year between the fall and winter months. Number 31. Plum Island. Plum Island in Suffolk County, New York, was once inhabited, but now it's completely under the US government's control. It once had a highly secure scientific facility dedicated to researching bioweapons. But given how close it is to such a dense population center, that wasn't such a great idea. It was then devoted to researching animal-borne illnesses. The facility finally closed down in 2024, and the feds wanted to sell the island in anticipation of that, but 2020's CARES Act prevents it. That means you're still forbidden from going there, and no one really knows what'll happen next. Number 30. Robbins Island. There's another island in Suffolk County. It's privately owned Robbins Island, owned by a financier named Louis Bacon, who bought it in 1993 for $11 million. He's turned it into a nature park, one with a huge population of mud turtles. It's inaccessible for the general public, though. Bacon is serious about protecting its natural habitat. Trespassers, you guessed it, will be prosecuted. Number 29. Fort Carroll. Further down the Atlantic coastline, you'll find Fort Carroll in Maryland. It's a 3.4-acre, 1.5-hectare artificial island built in 1848 to defend Baltimore and its strategic harbor should the Royal Navy ever decide to visit again like it did during the War of 1812. That never happened, and after 80 years of disuse, the Army abandoned it in 1921. A prominent Baltimore attorney bought it for $10,000 in 1958 and planned to turn it into a casino, but that never really happened either. It's still private property though, and a protected marine area. No one is allowed, although some visitors have made it at the risk of prosecution. They took pictures of camping out in the night in the abandoned fort, and it was sorta spooky. Number 28. Morgan Island. Morgan Island in Beaufort County, South Carolina, was uninhabited until 1979, when the local authorities offered it as a colony for 1,400 herpes B-infected rhesus monkeys from Puerto Rico. The colony quickly thrived. 10 years later, there were over 4,000 monkeys. To keep both people and monkeys safe, South Carolina law forbids you from going to the island. Only select scientists from the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases can go. Number 27. Poveglia. Poveglia in Venice was once a thriving town, before people fled during wartime in the late 14th century. In 1793, it became a place to quarantine plague patients, 100,000 of which died. It became a mental hospital in 1922. That closed in 1968, and the island's been abandoned since. But it's reportedly haunted, and trespassers have gone there to look for ghosts. Local authorities have increased patrols to keep them out. Number 26. Lascaux Cave. Lascaux Cave is home to 21,000-year-old cave paintings, but unfortunately, the caves have been closed to the general public since 1963. This is to prevent deterioration of the paintings. Replicas are available, but if you try to see the originals, you'll be in big legal trouble. Number 25. Uluru. You've probably heard of Uluru, also called Ayers Rock in the south of Australia's Northern Territory. This sandstone monolith is part of the religious beliefs of the Angangu people, the indigenous owners of the land, and because of this, climbing Uluru has been banned since 2019. Doing so will get you prosecuted under Australia's Environment Protection and Biodiversity Conservation Act. But what about another elevated place? A pyramid, perhaps? Number 24. Lintong District. In the Lintong District in northwest China, there's a pyramid, and beneath it lies one of the world's greatest archaeological discoveries. It's the mausoleum of Qin Shi Huang, China's first emperor, sprawled out over 22 square miles, 57 square kilometers. It's still mostly unexcavated, but the famous terracotta warriors aren't the only ones protecting their deceased lord. The Chinese government has placed the tomb under strict guard. Those are not people you want to mess with. Number 23. Tibet. Elsewhere, controversially under Chinese control, is Tibet. Foreigners can go there, but only through authorized travel agencies under a carefully organized tour. Journalists and diplomats will need additional approval from China's Foreign Affairs Office. There are times when no one is allowed in, period. All of Tibet is closed for at least 1 month of the year. So again, unless you want to test the Chinese authorities, think twice about heading there. Number 22. Medjugorje. There's an entire town that's permanently closed to visitors on the enormous Eurasian landmass. It's Medjugorje in the Republic of Bashkortostan, Russia. Population about 17,000 as of the 2010 census. No one else is allowed. Some people call it Russia's Area 51, which more on that place later. The town was only founded in the 1970s, and satellite images reveal major activity ever since. The Russian government has called it a food storage area, a bunker for leaders, and other things. Most people think it hosts nuclear missiles. Few know what it really is, and you likely won't be the one to find out unless your idea is to get put in a glass box and held for ransom, along with other high-profile prisoners in Russia. Number 21. Metro 2. Moscow might be a safer place to visit, and much less remote. And it turns out that there's a hidden curiosity that may be worth exploring. There's a parallel subway system beneath its streets, the so-called Metro 2 or D6. Accounts reveal that Joseph Stalin started construction of it when the Cold War kicked into gear, trying to ensure the government survived a nuclear attack. The tunnels connect two key buildings, provide an escape from the city itself, and have built-in bunkers just in case. The Russian government still denies its existence though, and unless you're willing to test it, it's probably better to leave these things alone. There are other exclusion zones though, the result of both natural and man-made disasters. Seeking a thrill in any of them probably isn't a good idea. Number 20. Chernobyl. Far to the south of Moscow lies Chernobyl. This is one of the most forbidden places in the world for a good reason. It suffered the world's worst nuclear accident in 1986, and a 19-mile, 31-kilometer radius around the site is gradually being reclaimed by nature. It'll be uninhabitable by humans for at least another 20,000 years. Number 19. Centralia. America sort of has its own Chernobyl. Centralia, Pennsylvania. Population 5. It was a mining town, but an underground coal fire broke out there in 1962. No one really knows how, but it's still burning and will for about 250 years. The town was abandoned, the land seized through eminent domain, and the zip code revoked in 2002. In 2013, remaining residents reached an agreement that allowed them to stay and receive a $218,000 settlement. But once they die, their homes go to the state. If you want to see them, know that you'll risk sinkholes and possible lethal levels of carbon monoxide coming out of the ground. Number 18. Plymouth. Plymouth was once the capital of the British Overseas Territory of Montserrat, but then the Soufriere Hills volcano became active in 1995. Plymouth became a modern Pompeii and needed to be abandoned. Most of the islands did, actually. The eruption stopped, but there's still an exclusion zone near Plymouth due to potential hazardous volcanism. Number 17. Zone Rouge. France has an exclusion zone that's much larger than any of the ones we previously mentioned. This is the Zone Rouge in northeastern France. Once inhabited, it had the misfortune to become a major battleground in World War I and was sealed off afterward. It spreads over 460 square miles, just under 1,200 square kilometers, centered around the most intense parts of the infamous Battle of Verdun in 1916. Parts of it are so infested with toxic chemicals that nothing lives there anymore, with a surface that some accounts say resembles the soil of Venus. If you're willing to risk that, you should know that millions of the shells fired here were duds, so there's unexploded ordnance lying everywhere. It's estimated that it will take 700 years for the area to be livable again. Number 16. Barren Island. Barren Island is home to India's only active volcano. Like Montserrat, there was a huge eruption in 1991 that devastated the island. Fortunately, no one lived there, but it was lethal to animals. Since then, the government has banned tourists to protect the ecosystem. The best you'll be able to do is take some pictures in the distance on a boat ride. Number 15. Pangong Tso Lake. Pangong Tso Lake in Ladakh has a unique ability. It changes colors from blue to green to red depending on the conditions. This sounds nice, but beware. The highly disputed border between India and China passes right through it. Tourists can only go to a part of it. You will need a special interline permit to go, there's little accommodation, and you might find yourself in the middle of a border clash. Number 14. Solamo Lake. Solamo Lake in Sikkim is listed as Instagram-worthy on travel sites, and it's one of the highest lakes in the world, a staggering 16,700 feet, just over 5,000 meters above sea level. The problem? It's also disputed with China. Only the Indian Army and local police can go there without a special permit that's pretty hard to get. Number 13. Aksai Chin. Aksai Chin is probably the most forbidden place in all of India, or China for that matter. Like the previous two locations, it's right on the border of the two countries. In fact, no one really knows what the border is, so there was a violent clash here in June of 2020 that saw 20 Indian and 4 Chinese soldiers die. It's too bad. There are some gorgeous salt lakes and scenic cold deserts here, but it's understandably off limits to all non-military personnel. Number 12. Mount Kanchenjunga. Mount Kanchenjunga in India is the world's 3rd tallest peak. It's on the border between India and Nepal, but if you're looking to make this extremely challenging climb from the Indian side, don't. The government closed it in 2000 to meet the concerns of the local Buddhist community, who thought that foreign climbers were desecrating the mountain. Number 11. Gangkhar Punsum. Gangkhar Punsum is the tallest peak in Bhutan. With a peak of 9,800 feet, or about 3,000 meters, it's actually the highest unclimbed mountain in the world, and no one is allowed to make the attempt. The government banned climbing in 2003 due to safety concerns and, like India, to respect the locals' religious beliefs. Bhutan regulates the entry of foreigners into its borders, so even getting close to the mountain is challenging enough. Then you need to ask yourself if you're willing to test Bhutan's justice system or risk your life trying to do what no one has done before, because there's not much infrastructure to rescue you if you get stranded. Number 10. Cyprus. Cyprus in the Mediterranean is one of the most heavily disputed places in the world, divided since 1974 between the Turkish north and Greek south. A UN buffer zone sits across the northern part of the island to make that clear. Aside from a few special villages, civilians need a special permit from the UN to enter areas in the buffer zone. These areas have become no man's land, with abandoned villages deteriorating in the elements. Unless you're looking for ghost towns, it's probably not a good idea. Number 9. Mount Athos. One of the world's strangest travel restrictions comes at Mount Athos in Greece. This place is autonomous, run by a council of the 20 Orthodox Christian monasteries on it, the oldest of which dates to 963. Only a limited number of permits are issued every year, and none of them go to women. Women aren't even allowed to approach the coast. It all dates to an 11th century rule to promote celibacy. There were few exceptions. One applies to Helena of Bulgaria, who fled there during the Black Death, but she was not allowed to touch the ground. Servants carried her everywhere in a carriage. In fact, the rule is so strict that female animals aren't even allowed, which means eggs and cheese, they need to be imported. Number 8. Fort Knox. Fort Knox is spread out over 109,000 acres, 4,400 hectares in parts of Bullitt, Hardin, and Meade counties in Kentucky. Non-military personnel are strictly forbidden. Rumor has it that the fences are electrified with laser-activated machine guns, landmines, and radar that can track your every move. And you'll see the manned outposts at every one of the building's corners. Number 7. Mount Weather Emergency Operations Center. Around 50 miles, 80 kilometers from Washington, D.C., in Virginia's Blue Ridge Mountains, accessible by State Route 601, is another of the world's most secure bases. This is the Mount Weather Emergency Operations Center. Once a weather station, it's much bigger now, 434 acres, 176 hectares topside where FEMA uses it. But there's much more. This facility is built for the federal government to survive a nuclear attack. Rumors say there's a 600,000 square foot, 55,741 square meter bunker complex with cutting-edge tech below. It's even been designated as a storage site for valuable paintings if the worst ever comes. Number 6. The Woomera Test Range. Created by the Australian military after World War II to test missiles, Woomera Test Range is huge, covering almost 47,000 square miles, 122 square kilometers. But there are conservation areas and privately owned mines there too. You can only go to a few areas, like the village of Woomera itself, along an authorized route. You'll need a special permit for anywhere else, and there are times when no permits are issued at all. Number 5. Pine Gap. There is an even more secret place in Australia. This is Pine Gap in the Northern Territory, 11 miles 18 kilometers southwest of the town of Alice Springs. It's a joint operation between Australia and the United States, and it's used to collect sensitive intelligence, including geolocation data for drone strikes and special operations. It's highly controversial and has seen its share of protests. Number 4. RAF Menwith Hill. The 605-acre, 245-hectare RAF Menwith Hill base near Harrogate in North Yorkshire, England, is notable for its 37 huge golf ball domes. These are no toys, though. It's a joint UK-US base built in the 1950s to collect intelligence. Leaked documents from Edward Snowden revealed its vital role in eliminating targets in the Middle East. The base is a self-contained community, including a general store, a bar, and a pool hall. There were even schools for the personnel's children until 2015. Just don't think about going. Trespassers will pay a $6,600 fine and spend 51 weeks in prison. Number 3. Diego Garcia. Diego Garcia is one of the world's most remote islands, and its white sand beaches and crystal blue waters are something out of a dream. But the place has a dark history, and if you go there, you'll be in real trouble. In the 1960s, the British government deported its inhabitants to make way for a joint military base. Because of its location in the Indian Ocean that's close to East Africa, the Middle East, and Southeast Asia, it's vital to America's power projection strategy. That means no visitors are allowed. Get within 3 nautical miles, 5.5 kilometers, and you'll wish you hadn't. After all, it's not like you can hide. Approaching somewhere that remote tends to leave you open to surveillance. Number 2. Cheyenne Mountain. You've seen the world's most secure island, now for the most secure mountain. It's Cheyenne Mountain in Colorado. This might be the most survivable base in the world, with huge blast doors, long tunnels, and even its own industrial reservoir, all under 2,000 feet or 600 meters of rock. This place was designed to survive a nuclear attack and protect all the people inside. It's virtually impossible you'd get in undetected, and if you did, you'd be charged with some serious crimes. And finally, number 1, Area 51. No list of forbidden places would be complete without Nevada's Area 51 near Groom Lake, 83 miles, 134 kilometers from Las Vegas. It was built in 1955, initially to test spy planes, 8 years after the Roswell incident. It became more famous in the 1980s when alleged insider reports said there were alien spacecraft and experiments on weather-altering weapon systems. Even without those claims, the base was used to test highly secretive toys like the F-117 Nighthawk. It's run jointly by the USAF and CIA and wasn't publicly acknowledged until June of 2013. Signs advise would-be trespassers that they may be subject to lethal force, and in 2019, a man was shot dead for trying to enter without permission, carrying something that looked like it could be an explosive. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you want to see more videos like this, then please consider subscribing and turn on notifications. It really does make a difference. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time on MatPack.